This is the all-new Toyota Land Cruiser, which was a nameplate Toyota killed off for the 2021 model year, but in a surprise move, they've brought it back to life. It's now based on the 250 series Land Cruiser Prado, so today I'm going to see if it is in fact a genuine Land Cruiser. The Land Cruiser's bones will be familiar because it uses the TNGA-F platform, which underpins the Toyota Land Cruiser LX600, which here in the States is in fact the LX600, the biggest SUV Lexus makes for here. The 250 version is this Land Cruiser, which is also the GX550 Lexus, and it's also the new 4Runner. Which means that this one shares the 112.2-inch wheelbase from the LX600, also the independent front suspension, the live axle rear suspension, and the same track widths. So the biggest difference really is this tall, narrower body that's been plopped onto that platform. It's going to make it easier on tight trails. I think Toyota absolutely nailed the design. It harks back to the old 40 and 80 series cruisers, and it also has plenty of plastic cladding to protect you when the going gets tough. And then capping it off is this Heritage Edition grille. You get these really nice LEDs and then these spots at the bottom, all integrated nicely into this whole front section. I think it looks really good, really rugged. Now, if you get the 1958 edition, you get round headlights. Then at the back, you get more chunky styling, these chunky squared off headlights, and a hatch to throw your groceries in. So this one's been fitted with the optional 20-inch wheels. They cost you around $1,420. I wish it had the standard wheels, which are 18, but these have pretty decent profile here on the tires for off-road work. They're 265/60s all around. Front brakes are 13.4-inch rotors, and at the back, they're 12.3 inches. So the Land Cruiser has full-time four-wheel drive, both high and low ratios. It also has an electronically controlled locking center diff, and the same thing for the rear diff. It has a front stabilizer disconnect, it has multi-terrain select, and it has downhill assist or hill assist control with speed control. Question is, why doesn't it have a front locker? Well, there are several reasons. I think it's because most people don't know how to use a front locker. I'm not an expert off-road, and I think most people don't know how to use them either, and it's probably easy to break if you're just throwing that thing on and selecting the wrong mode and just generally not knowing how to off-road this vehicle. And I think to preserve warranties and the such, Toyota has decided that they're not going to give you one. So the Land Cruiser has about 8.7 inches of ground clearance. The approach angle is approximately 31, the breakover is 21, and the departure angle is around 25. It does have a bunch of skid plates as well to protect the underbody while you're romping around the mountains. So when properly equipped, this car will tow up to 6,000 pounds, which is better than the Bronco, which I think can tow 3,500, and the Jeep, which is around 2,000, but I believe the 4xe will tow a little bit more. So this is pretty good towing. At the back, you get a powered tailgate. And that then reveals this, which is the reason why you can't get 3 rows in this car. This is the weird shelf, although it's a lot neater and less high up than the Tundra system, but that's because of the battery pack. But the load for is really quite flat. 37.5 cubic feet with the rear seats up, with them down about 80 cubic feet of space. So it's big, it's boxy, it's got plenty of room, and there is a spare wheel under the car. So all Land Cruisers are hybrids. The V8 is now long gone. It's a 4-cylinder turbo with a hybrid system and a battery under the back seats. The electric motor sandwiched between the transmission and the engine. It's got about 48 horsepower. Do the fuzzy math, you've got about 326 horsepower, 465 foot-pounds of torque. 0 to 66 around 7.7 seconds. It's not really programmed for drag racing. On the highway though, you get around 25 miles per gallon with a light right foot. So how much is it? Well, base prices for this car start at $61,950. There's two trims, the Heritage and this one. This has the Premium package, or Premium Plus package, for $4,600, and you get a premium JBL stereo system, a huge sunroof, a digital rear view mirror, this very cool, excuse the pun, center console cool box, leather trimmed seats, a head-up display, lane change assist, front cross traffic alert, and traffic jam assist. Add all that up, and the total price, including destination, is $71,364. So it's pretty comfortable in the back. These seats are nice and soft, decent leg room. The seat is all the way back, decent headroom. The typical armrest with two cup holders. Here you get your climate controls for the back seat occupants, a couple of USBs, and a 12 volt. And you can also, if you grab this lever here, you can recline back a little bit. And then there's a little bit of storage space in the back. Those comfortable seats continue in the front. As I said, these are leather covered on both sides, multi-way power. You also get memory as well, which is nice. Nice feeling wheel, good driving position, and the majority of the materials are decent quality. The only thing that I really don't like is, you might be able to hear it, quite tinny doors. Very Toyota when it comes to the controls, but also very Toyota when it comes to not too much stuff in the screen and physical buttons for your climate control, which we like. This is easy to use, it's a Toyota system, it's fast, it's pretty responsive. We got navigation on this car as well. You can go into settings, you can change whatever you need to in there. It's easy to pair your phone in this system. Really good overall. One thing though that is odd, the design is nice, it looks chunky, it looks off-roady, but it almost seems like the volume button was put on as an afterthought. So you get a little closer and it just seems like they were thinking, well, oh, we need to have a physical volume button. Shit, we forgot. Let's just put it right there next to the driver display. Down here you've got your view cam button. I always like this bit, it's pretty cool. Does the 360 around the car. It's got plenty of power here as well, a bunch of USBs, and then your Wi-Fi charger, which does charge through my case. Get a nice chunky shifter. Down here are your drive modes. I'm currently in drive mode. So you get on the dash Eco, Normal, and Sport. You also get your multi-terrain select. Choices are auto, dirt, sand, mud, and deep snow. We're probably going to be using that one or that one today. Here's your crawl control, parking brake hold. Down here you've got your stabilizer bar disconnect, rear and central diff lock controls, and H4 push to get to low 4. Here, the driver, you've got a configurable display. I like to have the speedo in the middle. You can put a bunch of information in different spots, controlled via the steering wheel. Looks like I'm averaging 17.9 miles per gallon. This definitely does a hell of a lot better than the old V8. So, having said all that, let's drive it. Okay, let's select MTS, and we're going to choose, I like sand for this bit. All right, let's go. It's a cross between sand and dirt, I believe. Let's go down here. It's super sandy at the bottom of this. It's not particularly challenging, but it is kind of fun to get huge plumes of sand, whatever it's called, flying in the air. All right, we'll do a little bit of this trail work. Nothing too technical, and we'll take it to another spot and give the Cruiser a bit more of a challenge. Actually might just stop here and switch my mode. I'm going to go into dirt mode because it's more like dirt. It's not really sand anymore. So before we get to the other off-road spot, we'll take it down here. We'll give it some on-pavement exercise. See how it drives. And then we'll pop over to the other place and see how technical we can get it. It does have these 20-inch wheels. Like I said, I wish I had the 18-inch wheels with a little bit more rubber, but 60 profile, I'm not going to complain about. And these are pretty good. They also look better from a visual standpoint. Watch out for any traffic here. This area is crawling with Border Patrol, and I don't want to have a head-on with them. It's one of my cameras rattling. I'll take it out. I haven't heard any real rattles from this car yet. Here where the seats are and my camera components on the back seat, my tripods are making a noise. And it's a little rattly from the back, but this particular test has done around 7,000 miles. I feel like it's been put through its paces, and it's allowed to have a few rattles, having been driven by maniac journalists. This is a little dirt section. This is what I call my little mini rally spot, because it's kind of smooth, but you can really get a little bit of a speed on. Straight away, just got to watch out in case someone's coming the other way. But it's not bad. No one's coming. Now it sounds like it's, you know, jiggling all over the place. It is, but these seats are very comfortable. Hard right. There's that dust down there. Right, let's activate sport mode. It's flashing red on the dash. Let's see how it goes. Oh, it's quite sprightly. Sounds like a 4-cylinder. Okay, obviously body roll. Live axle at the rear. But you know what? Point it, it goes where you point it. That's all I ask for. Not a sports car, but you know what? It handles itself way better than a Wrangler would. Those things are all over the place. This, messy, I would describe it. Great off-road, but their on-road handling is definitely improved over the years, but not as good as this. All right, so I've got it pulled over here. Just want to do a quick acceleration run here. I don't have any timing equipment, it's kind of pointless, but they say about 7.7 seconds to 60. Feels quicker, but let's see. Definitely doesn't feel fast. It feels better actually if you on like a rolling start. Felt pretty reluctant to get going there. So here we are on our slightly more challenging trail. Mostly dirt, some sand, and we're going to go down that big old loop down there and see how it copes on street tires and 20-inch wheels. unfazed. Yeah, you're good. Slow. You're good. Cake. There it is, cresting the hill. Excellent work, Land Cruiser. So what do we think? Well, the biggest problem here for the Cruiser is how it's priced, because it's very close at $71,000 to a GX550 Premium, which has the Lexus Trick EKDSS suspension, and it also gets a fabulous twin-turbo V6 engine. That said, this is very competent off-road. It's pretty good on-road, so you take your choice and decide which one you'd prefer for your garage. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Like, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time with another video. Out.